You heard the voice. So yes, we're getting started. So welcome again, everyone who's just joined us. We had our business meeting a little earlier, and now we're getting into the fun part of the day here with getting started with the presentations. And so just so you know, everyone, you're being recorded. And I will say that just based on what I know of the people who are presenting, it's feel free to ask questions through the chat at any point. We'll likely address those questions at the end, just because it's hard to present and see the questions come up. We have Sean Murphy, who joined us here from Cortland Soil and Water. He's going to be the moderator and looking at the questions. So I would say that Sean, hello, Sean. If somebody, has a question that just really could be addressed quickly and it's like a clarification or something, maybe jump in. But otherwise, we'll wait till the end for questions and just put them in the chat. So with that, we're going to get started with Clare Lindahl. She's with the national, she's the CEO of the Soil and Water Conservation Society, the national office. And we've seen her before. She's always very gracious to join us and give us some inspiration and some words of wisdom. And so I welcome her, and thanks for joining us, Clare. So she's going to take over. I'm going to stop sharing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am going to go ahead, and as I get sharing my screen here, now you're seeing my messy desktop. So just pretend you didn't see that. Good morning. This morning came early for me today. I want to get our chat warmed up with a little icebreaker, but last night I drove a couple hours to a concert. It was a Del McCurry concert. So show of hands here, virtual hands, of how many people know who that is. All right, I heard a giggle, so that means some folks
Oh, that was
do.
me. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be muted.
So
I don't know who that is. I think that's a good idea to ask that. Sorry, I'm gonna mute.
So for fun, while I'm getting my slides pulled up here and getting started, put in the chat the last concert that you saw. What's the last concert you saw, or the last CD that you listened to? Somebody put Adele, yeah. So I know Greg knows what I was doing last night. So I'm feeling extra inspired. I always love going to listen to some music, and that always helps me, get excited and for the work that we do. So I'm gonna go to just see slideshow, and then I gotta switch this real quick. You're seeing my notes right now, right? Are you seeing the notes, or are you seeing the whole screen?
We are seeing the notes. Yeah, next slide. Yeah.
Okay, so how do I switch that? It's
you have to pick when you go to pick the screen.
Yep, it was hiding from me. Okay, now I'm on. So what do we got coming up in the chat? Oh, Chris Stapleton, Dar Williams. Oh, we got some Joan Jett, Eric Church, Dead and Co. See, I knew these were my people. Look at this. This is great. Well, thank you for entertaining this morning, and thank you for having me on. Thank you to the Empire chapter for hosting a meeting to bring us all together, get some good information, and have a discussion. And I want to kick us off a little bit talking about shaping the future of the conservation professional. I put CP because we love our acronyms, right? The professional, SWCS, and the conservation industry as a whole. That's what I just want to kind of kick us off with today. And so there may be some of you that are not familiar with the Soil and Water Conservation Society. We are the professional organization for conservation professionals, established in 1943, and we are really where science meets practice. We are an interdisciplinary community. We have people from federal government, local governments, extensions, universities, nonprofits, private sector. We know that, right? That reflects the work that we do. We have a community of members and chapters nationwide. We have chapters and members internationally as well. And we are headquartered right smack dab in the middle of America here in Iowa, which is, I'm coming from to you from balmy Iowa this morning. a little bit about what we do. We seek to advance knowledge and support learning. We do that through our annual conference, through awards, scholarships, webinars, through our journal. We foster communication. We want to communicate to you through our conservation media library. If you have not been on there, please visit. You will never have to search for another cover crop photo again. I promise. I spent so many hours of my life in a field office trying to find that perfect conservation photo to go into my PowerPoint presentations, but we've got a bunch of them on there now for you. We have our webinars, we have our news briefs, which is just those hard-hitting stories that are affecting us or impacting us, news-wise, policy-wise. We have our newsletter, and then we advocate. So that is been a priority of mine since I've come on, is to take all of the things I learn from these meetings, from my chapter engagement, through my membership engagement, through our special projects and our grant projects, to take the voice of the conservation professional up to the desks of leadership and really improve the processes that help all of our members and our partners and stakeholders both implement and research conservation. And we do that all through building community. That's, been, I want to kind of talk about these offerings through the lens of being part of them. So I've been the CEO for 6 years, and I'm so proud of that. But even more, I've been a local SWCS chapter leader for 8 and a member for 12 years. And so we were talking about aging ourselves in the chat here. And I have loved being part of SWCS. That was why I was so committed to getting this position and fought so hard to get this position, because I had got so much out of being a member and being a chapter leader. It was an opportunity for me to learn. It was an opportunity for me to share my learnings, my grievances with this community of like-minded conservation professionals across disciplines. It's a support network, and that is so valuable in the work that we do. It gave me access to leadership. It elevated who I was to other people, other leaders who were calling the shots. I got elevated, and it really gave me a voice. But all of that was realized through my engagement with SWCS. These things didn't come just after I set my membership check in. It was because I served as a local leader. It was because I attended events like the annual conference, because I read my Journal of Soil and Water Conservation. I'd reach out to an author, because I, utilized the conservation media library. I have really gotten out what I have put into SWCS, and that has been just a realization to me in my professional life. So I want to talk now that I've reached the ripe age of 40 and have been starting to think about that next generation of conservation professionals, about a new program that we have, and that is our SWCS Emerging Leader Program. We've just rolled this out, and we rolled this out because the work that conservation professionals are leading is incredibly important. It's incredibly urgent, not just to the environment, not just to agriculture, but really to communities and society as a whole. The work you all do, it's just so important, and it's also incredibly complex and challenging, and we know that. And also, we rolled this program out, like I said, because it was a personal decision. Because I lead SWCS, I made a decision as a leader. I saw the need, and I just took a chance on this program. We didn't have funding for it, but leadership is personal. It is about seeing a need through your experience. It's about taking a risk. It's about being willing to fail. And we put this call out. I remember telling staff we're going to do this program, and they're like, okay, well, maybe we'll have like 20 applicants, this will be great. And the board was like, you can't accept more than 25. And when we put this call out to CPs in the first 5 years of their career, and they answered, I went against everyone's recommendations and advice, and I accepted over 100 conservation professionals in the first 5 years of their their career into the program. I just simply couldn't turn away these folks that needed us, and that needed this guidance and needed this support network. And I need them, and we need them. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. But let me come back to the slide, because look at this beautiful slide. Talk about the Envirothon, talk about hope in the future of conservation. Look at these faces. This is the future of conservation. And I just feel so lucky and fortunate to be getting to work with them. And we've just yesterday finished our first module. And so it's one of those things where we call the Envirothon like a vitamin. You know, our work is so hard and complex, and some days it's like, but things like this are what can power you through those hard times. And that's what these folks are doing for me. So I'm getting a lot out of this in return for the time and investment I'm putting into that. And that, I think, is what mentorship is. I'm just learning that. These over 100 folks are from all over the nation. We even have an international person or two, and they come from a lot, they come from different backgrounds, federal government, districts. There's interdisciplinary as our organization is. We have people doing diversity work. We have someone who had just graduated high school, and they are starting to install the conservation practices. We have different levels of education and just different lived experiences within this new network of emerging leader program. And what we want to do through this is essentially provide a safe space for these leaders to grow and to try things as part of their leadership journey. And we want to provide them with a network of conservation professionals. We want to support them in seeing themselves as a leader and provide them with the tools and skills to reach their leadership goals. So we're doing this through 4 different modules. We just finished up the first module. We offered it twice, and I think we had pretty much everyone participate. And we had our survey results have been great. And as I said, as someone who's taken a chance on a program, it feels good to have that, and it means we're really moving in the right direction. And our first module, how we're doing this is our first module is about self. It's about learning about yourself. And this is so important because we talk to them about leaders are often considered outcasts. And also we put sort of this gold standard on leadership. And so we want to bring leadership back down to what it is, and that we are all leading and we are all capable of leading. And that you have to know yourself, because I think about when I read about Hugh Hammond Bennett, who started NRCS and started SWCS, that he was considered an outcast. Artists, authors, athletes, activists, often the ones that we read about in our history books were not even realized their greatness, or recognized for their greatness rather, until after they passed away even. We often hear farmers. When I worked in the field, I had a farmer who told me he went to a neighbor's funeral and he was the talk of the funeral because of how messy his farm was. Or I've had, heard stories of a farmer planting cover crops for the first time and his hands shaky. It's the most impactful leadership development comes from when you are able to build that emotional stamina to withstand people telling you that your new idea is stupid, it's naive, it's reckless. And people have told me that about the things that I've wanted to do, but I've charged through. So successful leaders really understand themselves. They take that time to know themselves, and they define leadership to who they are. And they know what their strengths are, and they know what their weaknesses are. You don't want me touching an Excel sheet. I'm going to make it worse, and it's going to take me 8 hours to make it worse. So, I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. I'm always trying to grow, but I can build my team around those things. So, we're really illustrating that personal leadership aspect through that first module. And we're also, all of our presenters, myself included, we're sharing our leadership story. So I have this leadership story, and here's all my accomplishments. And then I'm showing them that picture of my first rain garden that is no longer there because I undersized it, We got a bunch of rain, and I had to go pull the plugs out with a flashlight in the middle of the night. I was crying. I thought the city was never going to let me do another rain garden. My parents were there holding these big Tupperwares. It was traumatic. So, but that's part of the growth. You know, that's part of the growth. During our second module, we are going to be starting to talk about influencing others. We're going to be talking about storytelling. We're going to be talking about holding events. So we're rolling out this event planning certification program through this. And we're going to be talking about how to hold good events, how to measure the success of your events. We're going to have event toolkits. And then we're going to be connecting them with other leaders. They're in that network I showed and beyond. And this is going to be an opportunity for everyone on this call. And then in that third module, we're going to have them put that leadership to work. So we're going to have them hold an event. Some of them already have events they want. They're going to hold that event. They're going to receive all that support from us, those resources, those local contacts. And then their last module, they're all getting free registrations to Myrtle Beach. We're going to have them graduate and then reflect on and shape the program for the future. And that's the thing about this program is I say we are making decisions as we go based on what they tell us in order to offer a personal, customized leadership experience. I would say we're building this plane as we fly it, which actually sounds like sort of a horrifying analogy, but that's what we're doing because we want to make this valuable to them because this is their experience and they're all busy, but they are going to get out what they put into it, just like I have from SWCS. That's what we're telling them, that invest in yourself. Things have changed so much since SWCS started. We used to have a lot of time for these in-person meetings. We used to not be able to get together as much as, you know, we used to. There used to not be the internet 79 years ago. And so things have changed. And so, and things have gotten so busy and we're so accessible to our work all the time. But we have to carve out that time for our leadership growth, and especially in the work we do because it is difficult and it really leads to burnout. The other thing is, like I said, those leaders are shaping us. This is not my professional society. I am lucky to guardian it right now, and so are all the chapter leaders. I'm so grateful to their time for guardianing this now. But this is the people's professional society, and their engagement as emerging leaders, as people in the first part of their career, that's going to shape the future of not only them through this program, but it's going to shape the future of this society, of the profession, and of the conservation industry. So I am listening. I am, you know, taking training on being a mentor because I am so, you know, I'd love to come in and tell them all my stories and all that. That's not what being a mentor is. I need to listen because they're the future of SWCS, and I need to make those changes in the organization based on what I learn from them. Professional societies are important, but we need to change. We need to evolve to meet the needs of emerging leaders who are the future of conservation. When we talk to them about leadership, we're helping them personalize leadership, you know, just looking at how we've defined leadership in this nation over the years. In the 1800s, this word leadership emerged, and it was really used based on political influence. 1900, 1929, we had less than a dozen formal definitions. By the 80s, we had hundreds. And now, you know, as of 2012, we have over 1,500 definitions and 40 models of leadership. So leadership is socially constructed. It holds different meanings to different people. And it's complex concept, and it's really different based on your identity, based on your experience, based on your traits, your behavior, your worldview. Leadership is always going to be very personable. It's going to be defined by the leader, and it's going to be their own. And these leaders showed us that. This is so fascinating to have this data from these 120 some leaders across the nation, right? And so they illustrated how personal leadership is by giving us, we asked them, who is a leader you admire? They gave us 100 different leaders they admired, you know, athletes, politicians, activists, scientists, pop culture icons. But moreover, they gave us a bunch of names we didn't recognize. And that's because these people were their bosses, they were their family members, they were their friends, their peers, their colleagues. They were people who were personal to them. And moreover, we asked them for what characteristics they admired in a leader. And this was incredible. They gave us this slew of characteristics. And guess what? Look at these characteristics: authenticity, integrity, dedication, perseverance. They are all positive traits associated with emotional and social aspects of human behavior. These are all traits that we have in us as humans, and that we just need help bringing out. You know, I didn't see in here the ability to name a farmer's soil series on request or the exact nutrient reduction of a certain conservation practice. No, look at these things that these people in their early career are admiring in leaders. And it's just, it's humanness, and it was fascinating to me. Thought it was going to be very knowledge, technical, and skilled based, and it was not. So, and I kind of want to, one more point I want to reiterate on that is that those were the traits when I shared my leadership fails that got me through those and on to the next thing. So when I saw those traits and I worked on my leadership slide about all the things that I had failed at and tried, I saw to myself, like, it wasn't a bunch of knowledge that helped me rebuild that relationship with the city so that I could put in another rain garden. It was very much those traits that, you know, bringing those forward, focusing on those value traits that helped me install another rain garden in that town. And they did. They let me install another rain garden in that town. I just kind of want to wrap up here with a few thoughts on how we all can shape the future of SWCS and the profession. And I think about engaging with SWCS. We're going to be rolling out a new strategic framework, and you know, membership is important, but I intentionally didn't put join. Yes, I want you to join SWCS. That is a form of engagement, but I want you, moreover, to grow as a conservation professional. And so there are lots of ways to engage with SWCS. Joining is one of them, but there are other ways too. And I think about this is, I know we're so busy, but like everything else, like conservation planning, like everything else we do, you have to make a plan. And it is as simple as pulling out a Post-it and jotting down a few things on it and taking an hour a week to do that, because we need your voice. We need your voice as organizations so that we can be pushing for the right things, particularly in a time where we are getting you are getting inundated with work and money and projects and outcomes and measures and all these requests. We need to be able to take these things forward to advocate for you. And you need to not burn out, because we need you. And you need to be the best you that you can be. And so, and one of those big things is encouraging those who work around you and for you specifically to do the same, to join, to engage with your professional society, to find ways to do those things that SWCS offers, because it's very much a personal benefit as well. And I say that because I go into a lot of chapter meetings and have since I started, and I ask, okay, how did you become involved with SWCS? And everyone says a mentor. It's crazy. Like almost everyone, it's a mentor. And then when I ask, okay, who are you mentoring to come in to SWCS? You know, I don't have time. No, you know, the mentorship is not happening as much as it used to. And you may be mentoring someone and not even knowing it, because the majority of those 100 and some emerging leaders, they join this program because their boss told them to. So that was really full circle for me. become a chapter leader, right? New York needs chapter leadership. And so maybe the chapter doesn't look like a 501c3 nonprofit. Maybe there's some different organizations. Maybe we're combining, maybe we're changing what we're doing. But taking leadership in SWCS is a way to shape yourself, but it's also a way to shape the profession, to give back to the profession and shape the conservation industry as a whole. And I've experienced that, and it's super fun, I promise. And then be a mentor. So this is something that really, as we've been starting to be a mentor to these emerging leaders, has come to light. And so I've been undergoing some training, and we are going to be offering some training coming soon. As you look at enriching your life, really professionally and personally, if you are later in your career, and looking at how you can assist those that are coming up. And then also, if you are new in your career, we're going to do that emerging leader program again. As long as I'm here, we're going to be doing that emerging leader program. And so this summer, spring, there will be some opportunities to apply for that again. Want to close out with some upcoming events. We've got new member welcomes. So if you're a new member, or if you're just a member who wants to be, it's a good reminder as you're making your post-it on how to invest in yourself. Visit one of those. We have a great professional development series that we're doing with Manners, with the National Association of Conservation Districts, with the Soil Health Institute. Some of those skills that help you, and no matter what your work is, just check out our events calendar. Lots of opportunities to do what we really focus on offering is something that's a little different than what everyone else is offering. And then, of course, Save the Date. I've never been to Myrtle Beach. I'm so excited to go there to learn about coastal communities and learn about the different challenges and opportunities of that region. And then, of course, stay connected with us online, right? Because if you didn't post a selfie of it, it didn't happen. But this online connection is, it's part of us now. And so it's not all of us. There's still value to being together in person, but there's ways we can use online as well. So definitely keep in the loop with us, at the least, of staying engaged. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And just, I think I did pretty good on time. Been told, never been called a slow talker. So, yeah, I just want to pause there and see if we've got any questions. And as you do, I'll look back through your bands that you've been listening to.
Yeah, so any questions for Claire?
Lay them on me, anything.
It's don't be shy.
Looks like Mary has one.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. I just wanted to say to you, Claire, that I was a Manners member all through university, and I've really enjoyed those professional development series and all the partnership that you guys have done with Manners. So it's not so much a question, but just a thank you. And I'll definitely be looking at that Emerging Leaders program as well for next year, as someone who's just starting their career within USDA and everything.
Awesome, Mary. We would love to have you. I worked at a field office myself. I was a partner employee. So just, anytime you need anything, reach out. And thank you so much for that positive feedback. Open to questions, and always, as an only child, elder millennial, very open to positive feedback. So I just really appreciate that, Mary. That means a lot to me. It really does.
Claire, I'll say a few words. I would want to thank you for that talk. That was also inspirational. That was really great. And I hope some people on the call are inspired by it. I also wanted to say thank you for some work that you guys had done in the past, a poll of conservationists a few years ago. If anybody on the line here hasn't taken a look at this report, it's really insightful into the minds of people working in our profession, how they link up with policymakers, what's important, and should be helpful for folks, I don't know, in their respective jobs. But I just wanted to say thanks for that report, and thank you for that talk. That was really terrific.
Yeah, the report Scott's referring to is the Conservation Professional Poll. That has been one of my like pride and joy things that I've worked on. That was a poll that Walton Family Foundation funded. It was in the Upper Mississippi River Basin, but I would love to do them elsewhere. It is a poll, and we can drop that poll maybe into the link or share that afterwards. But that was a poll for conservation professionals in field offices and partners by conservation professionals. We brought together focus groups of different disciplines to find out what they like, what we needed to ask and what we needed to know. I have been spending spring in DC, and I reference that poll every day. Every day I was out there, I pulled from that. And it's not going to be surprising to any of you. But it really helped me when I was in DC and I was on these collaboratives. You know, I was kind of breaking into the DC scene, and I was on these collaboratives, and they're like, well, we think we need 10 more committees at this sort of national level. And I was able to be like, let me get out my poll and talk about how much people in the field don't need that. So I think it was really helpful, helps guide my policy work in particular. So yeah, good. I'm glad that that's being used and of interest.
Anybody else?
Well, I just want to apologize to the chapter. I know you're going to be flooded now with potential chapter leaders, and so you're going to have some tough decisions to make when we reconvene. So if you want to be on a call with me in January, reconvening, shaping the future of the chapter, you just let the chapter leaders on know, and then we will look forward to having that conversation.
Thank you. So yeah, Claire, not only was your talk inspirational, and it really was, I mean that, your energy at 9 o'clock in the morning on East Coast time was also inspirational. So yeah, lots of energy from you. And I know you had to get up even earlier because of where you're located. So thank you again for joining us. And yeah, I also will say that I know from my life, I'm definitely not an early in my career, but when I was, I definitely relied on mentors to take me to the next level. Some of them are on this Zoom call here. So yeah, it's really important to have someone to help you get through the beginning stages of a career and to inspire you and to push you a little bit. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here now. And by doing that, I can no longer see. Okay, there we go. So what's going to happen next is we are going to now take a break because some people may be waiting to join at 9:45. So I don't want to get started early because then they would miss Jennifer's presentation potentially, which we don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. I'm going to take a break and we'll come back at 9:45 and get started, but I'm not going to turn the Zoom off. I'm going to leave the chat open, but yeah, so we'll be back at 9:45 and get started. So thanks everyone.